Let's move to our next coaching evaluation here, and we're going to Corvallis. And I'm going to start with all the coaches who have been coaches in the conference already, and then I'll close with the ones who are new, right? So the Lincoln Rileys, the Dan Lannings, Kalen DeBoers of the world, Jake Dickert a little bit, right? Those will be towards the latter portion of this series. And if you want to catch them all, I'm only doing one in a given episode, so like and subscribe wherever you're listening or watching right now on YouTube. Just hit subscribe, boom. You'll know every time that I'm putting out content. But let's go to Jonathan Smith in Corvallis at Oregon State. And for those of you who didn't see my last eval of Chip Kelly, you can go find it on the YouTube channel or listen to a recent episode on podcast as well. But I cut it up, and it should just be its own video there on YouTube if you want to just go and watch that, not have to filter through the episodes. And so, how I'm grading these coaches is I give them 5 grades. There's an overall, recruiting, game management and scheme, player development, and assistant coaching hires, right? Primarily, they're looking at offensive and defensive coordinators. So, Jonathan Smith is now in his 6th season upcoming with Oregon State, which is pretty weird to say, but he took over 2018. So, he had 18, 19, 20, 21, 20, fifth year. Sorry, fifth year, right? 1, 2, 3, 8, 9, 20, 21. Sorry, I'm just doing all this math while I'm doing the show, but that's okay. Bottom line, he's got a 16-28 record. He came in and the program was just terrible. I mean, it was as bad as we've ever seen Oregon State football. That's what it was when Jonathan Smith took it over. They went 1-11 in 2017. To this day, that's one of the worst college football teams I've seen at the Power 5 level. I mean, seriously, they should have been 0-12. They barely beat Portland State at home. That was their only win. That's a Big Sky opponent. That's an FCS school. That was not a good year, but Jonathan Smith has turned things around. He has righted the ship in a really big way. His overall grade is a B+. Now, that could actually drop a bit this year if they don't follow up on the success they had a season ago, but if they're still in the 7, 8, 9 win rate, especially if they win 9 games, this will get bumped up to an A, a solid A. You go from 1-11 to 9-3 in 5 years. That it would be a remarkable turnaround. I don't know if Oregon State can do that this season, but if they go 7-5 again, they lost their bowl game last year. That's why they were 7-6. They lost to Utah State. 7-5, 8-4. This could maybe get bumped up because that program was just in such utter disarray. But he has gotten them back to a competitive place where they are not just hoping to be competitive in the Pac-12 North. They're expecting to be competitive in the division that they're in, which I know doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things for conference championship anymore, but it's still a barometer of success and progress for them. And so I give them a B+. And again, I'm not a lot of the college professors that I had or that some of you have probably had or high school teachers. I'm not handing out A's. Well, this is not charity. All right. This is actual the way. If you get an A or an A- from me here, you're doing something really, really right. B+, great place to be. I think Smith is doing a good job. Recruiting, he gets a B-. He's done a decent job in the transfer portal over the years. They've brought in some good players through the portal. They weren't able to snag JT Daniels this year, or this might even have been a B. But, their high school recruiting, they've been about average. It stayed about the same each year when you look at the overall composite rankings of the classes they had leading up to when he got hired after the firing of Gary Anderson. And then since he's taken over, it's been about the same in the 50 to 60 range nationally in the composite rating. They did have a 1-year aberration where they were 109th, but that was kind of counteracted by a really, really good transfer portal class they had 1 year. I think it was 2019, maybe 2020. They had a really, really good year in the portal one season. So I'd say B-. I think they're about where you'd expect Oregon State to be, but this is not a B. I almost went C+ here, but I think that I just can't have that high of expectations when you're at Oregon State. It's a tough place to recruit, and they haven't won a conference championship in, gosh, probably since Jonathan Smith was the quarterback. I think that was the last time. I'd have to go and look, honestly. But game management and scheme, I give Smith an A- here. I think he's really smart as a play caller, and they run, more traditional pro style offense, which kind of fits Oregon State. It does. It's a cold weather place, and they're not known for being flashy like their in-state counterpart or anything of the sorts. They're just kind of old school, punch you in the mouth, run the ball, grind it out. I think they use play action better than anybody else in the Pac-12 conference. I think he's a smart offensive mind. He scores a lot of points. The stats back that up, and I've been really impressed with what they've done offensively. Only reason this isn't an A, I'm looking at how the X's and O's proceed on Saturdays when talking about game management and scheme, is because the defenses haven't been there, and the defenses have been pretty poor, but they've improved enough to the point where Oregon State is now above 500. I just can't undersell enough how big of how much growth that shows as a head coach, and what you're doing is working in a program when you go from what they were in 2017 to now expecting to be a contender in the Pac-12 North 5 years later. That is a tremendous, tremendous job. And you have to do that by winning on Saturdays, because Jonathan Smith is not going to be able to bring in these elite level recruiting classes that you see at USC or at Oregon, or we've seen Stanford bring in some big time recruits, or even Arizona. Corvallis is damn near impossible to recruit, right? They don't have the facilities that Oregon have, and Oregon has. I think that's how English works. And they're in a place that's kind of geographically isolated. It rains a lot. That's why somewhere like Arizona or Stanford, I think, can get above them, because a lot easier when it's sunny on your campus to pitch a recruit on coming there and such. And so the defenses have been lacking, but he's able to do a lot with not as much talent as some of these other schools. And that's why I think he is a really smart schematic coach, as good as there is in the conference as well. I mean, I'm really, really high on Jonathan Smith in that sense. You have to consider he was offensive coordinator at Washington, for those great Chris Peterson teams. Like the guy knows what he's doing. Speaking of recruiting, I was just talking about recruiting. Speaking of the players on the roster, player development, I'm giving it a C+, which again is not bad, right? Some of you get C+ on an English paper. You think, oh my gosh, I did so many things wrong. No, a C+ for me, I'm old school with it. That is not a bad place to be. Now, I think that C+ here is accurate because we haven't seen amazing quarterback development yet, but there's a chance for that this year. This could get bumped up all the way to a B, I think, if Chance Nolan takes a big leap forward in 2022. But when you're looking at a place like Oregon State, and I was talking about the recruiting base and how difficult it is, because it truly is difficult to recruit there in Corvallis, program development is only possible if you have player development. That was really, really tough for me to get out, so I'm going to say it again. Program development is only possible at a place like Oregon State if you have player development. You bring guys in as a 3 or sometimes 2-star recruits, or low rate of 4 stars and whatnot every now and then, but primarily you're working with 3-star guys. You have to develop them into solid players, and you can't win games if you're not able to do that. And so that's why I think they've done a solid job. But I think, for someone who makes his money on the offensive side of the ball, if Chance Nolan is able to take a big step forward, that will be a real I don't even know what word I'm looking for. It starts with a V, not validifying. I don't even know. Anyway, just a struggle here down the stretch today, everybody. It's just major struggle at the moment. Anyway, C+ in player development for Jonathan Smith. Finally, assistant hires, I again go C+. You've got one guy over here and you got one guy over here. A lot like Chip Kelly at UCLA. Jerry Azzinaro was over here at the bad end, and Justin Fry was over here at the really good end. Same thing for Jonathan Smith. Brian Lindgren, offensive coordinator. That's an A. That is an A because he's actually the play caller, I believe. It's not Jonathan Smith, which is really uncommon for someone who's a former coordinator, but he doesn't call the plays. I think Lindgren is sharp. He is so sharp, in fact, that a program that I think has a little bit more money around their football program, I believe, in Arizona State, offered him the offensive coordinator job. He didn't want it. He wanted to stay at Oregon State. But the fact that another school in the conference wanted to poach him away is a testament to him being a really good hire. And the offenses, as I've said, have been very productive. I think they've been very smart as well. The reason that the assistant hires are C+ is because Tim Tibesar, I apologize if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. I don't think Oregon State fans will care that much because I give him a D+. Some Beaver fans might even give him an F. Those defenses were not getting any better. The program improved primarily because the offense improved, but the defensive struggles continued. They're hoping Trent Bray, who's going to be a first-time coordinator, I believe, promoted from within on that staff, they're hoping he's going to be able to help them make a step forward. And it's going to be something to watch, because if they can just be solid defensively, the offense will score enough points, they could win 8-9 games. I really, really think that. But if the defense is still kind of middling, then it might be another 6-7 win season for the Beavs. But Tibesar was no good. It's just there was not improvement there. While there was improvement on the offensive side of the ball, so I think it was pretty glaring in that sense. And so A and D+ bring it down overall to about a C+, maybe B-, but overall, Jonathan Smith, B+. He's rebuilt this program to a solid team in the Pac-12, and they were just not that when he took over. I appreciate everyone listening. I will see you next time, and have a wonderful rest of your day.